Hey guys, and welcome back. If you can't tell, I've been in a bit of a Zelda mood lately. I've made the Deku Mask as well as the moon, but for today's build, I'll be working on the Blast Mask from the Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. Now, this one's gonna be a bit more obscure than the other iconic designs that are featured in the game. Nevertheless, I think this is gonna be a lot of fun transforming the concept from N64 graphics into a realistic version. So with that in mind, let's get started. I began with some crumpled aluminum foil for the basic shape. The mask itself needs to be circular, but I made sure to make it slightly asymmetrical, as if the mask has been forged out of metal and has taken a few hits along the way. Once that was looking good, I started to draw the outline of the skull, and got to work building up the extra depth along the edges. The Blast Mask in these 2000 style graphics is really just a flat image of a skull, so I want to make my version as three-dimensional as possible. Now, you get this mask pretty early on in the game while you're still in Clock Town, and once you have it equipped, it helps protect against explosion damage. Because everybody knows wearing a mask with a funky picture of a skull in the middle is effective against shockwaves, shrapnel, and of course, all sorts of death by fire. Ironically, I started this project because I was feeling super lazy and just wanted something easy to work on, but this one actually turned out to be one of my absolute favorite creations so far. With that in mind, if you're also a Zelda fan, definitely check out some of my other work. The moon was really fun to work on, as was the Deku Mask. There's a lot of fun painting techniques that went into both of those, and I'm always interested to hear what other projects and ideas you guys would like to see me create, so definitely feel free to leave a comment down below. After carving out the eyes and the nose, I also made a bunch of cracks and damage on the surface. Next, I used a large ball stylus to create a beveled texture. Ideally, I figured this mask would have been forged out of metal with a hammer, so instead of a smooth, rounded surface, I'll be making as many imperfections as possible. Finally, I made sure to add in some vertical striations onto the skull for some extra detail. At this point, I'm happy with how the sculpt came together, so it's time to turn on the oven and bake the Sculpey for 45 minutes. After letting the sculpt cool down for a while, it's time to start painting, so I started with a saturated navy blue for the base coat. I did 2 coats with that color, then one more with a slightly darker shade on top. Once that was dry, I began brushing a thin layer of silver onto the blue for a metallic finish. I like the way the silver's looking so far, so I also applied a watered down silver wash onto the skull. One of the best things about working with Super Sculpey is that it's incredibly porous. That means when you're working with these watered down washes, it absorbs tons of pigment, and you can keep layering on more and more colors. Next, I need to add some black into the damaged areas to increase the contrast and show off the depth of the sculpt itself. When it comes to this paint job, I really want to make sure that the attention is really where it's supposed to be, and that's the eyes, so I made sure to darken them as much as possible without overdoing it. In addition to that, I added a thin black outline to the edge of the skull. I also added just a tiny bit more of a black wash towards the eyes, dripping down towards the teeth. The mask was still looking a little bit too shiny and clean, so I applied some watered down black paint and did an even wash over the blue metallic textures. Following that, I started dry brushing some white paint over the edges of the sculpt to highlight the details. Once the paint was dry, I still had to finish the back of the mask. The Sculpey was thinner than I had anticipated, and I didn't want to risk breaking the mask by removing the aluminum foil base. Luckily, because this is just a display piece and not a cosplay, I think it'll be fine to leave it intact. But, to make it look a bit more finished, I traced out the outline of the mask onto some craft foam and cut out a circular shape. Finally, I applied some adhesive to attach the foam onto the back of the mask. And just like that, this Legend of Zelda Blast Mask is complete. All that's left to do is sit back and enjoy the final result.